I grabbed him by the leg and I pulled him down, and I continued to try to get the hammer out of his gloved hand, but I couldn't, and I was tired. I was screaming for my neighbor Joe in the hopes that he would hear me, but my voice was getting less and less, and my strength was going. I started to bite him. First on his forearm, I bit him twice, and then on his upper arm. I bit him on the edge of his back and along on his right flank. I bit him on his thigh, and he did not let go of the hammer. I even, because we were now side by side facing each other, bit him in his genitalia with the hopes that he would let go of the hammer, or in the hopes that if I died, that I would leave marks on him that would help them determine that he was the one who had done this. When I realized I was not going to ever regain the hammer, it came to me that I needed to become the weapon. And I put my left leg over his right leg, which pushed him face down into the hardwood floors. I was on his backside, and I leaned forward until I could put my left arm under his neck, and I began to squeeze. I told him, "Tell me who sent you here, and I will call you an ambulance." I let him go so that he could have air and be able to speak, but he didn't. Instead, he began to do his best to flip me up off of his back, and I knew that if he were able to do so, I would be dead. When he began to turn pink again and regain his ability to flip me over, I knew that I needed to lean forward until he was still. My heart rate was so incredibly high that I felt like my heart was going to jump out of my chest. I grabbed the hammer, and then I struggled up and I ran. I ran through the hall, through the living room and out, and then to my neighbors, where I hammered on the door and said to Dennis when he came to the door, "Let me in. I've been attacked. I think I may have killed a man." And shortly after, an officer came over. I asked him, "Is he dead?" And he said yes. I immediately began to think about his family. Everybody has somebody who loves them. Children, a wife, a mother, a dad. The worst of this is not that someone tried to kill me, but that I had to kill someone else to survive. But I have no shame, because I did not choose his death for him. I chose my life. I chose life. When I returned to my home the next day, I was anxious to hear messages. There was a message from my husband on both lines, but the man who would sound totally agitated over very minor things did not sound like a husband who was hearing that his wife had nearly been murdered the night before. And I knew when I heard his voice on those two messages that he did this. He was behind this. I survived because I had training in how to avoid injury in violent situations. And when you combine that with the fear of knowing that someone is trying to kill you and the power of adrenaline that is your gift in those instances, I had all the tools that I needed to survive.